Hey everybody, this is Claire and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores or estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always looking for things that I particularly like or think that you might find interesting. And then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then tell you guys about them. So here's what I've got today. I have a very small little glass box. It's a tiny little trinket box. It's incredibly small. I don't think it would actually be useful for anything more than rings. You can see it's very, very tiny. The color is really rich and pretty and vibrant. It really is like something just to look at. I hope like it shows up nicely on camera, which is great. You can see that lovely like flash of color in it. And it is also obviously in great condition. Done the usual thing, rub it all around the place, feeling for little chips, flea bites, anything like that, any cracks. No, it is perfect condition. And it really is incredibly small and cute. So I bought this for $3 in a thrift store, and basically I got it because I picked it up and it just had a nice feel to it. You know, it had a nice feel to it. It had a nice flash to it, and like I just had a good feeling about it. And I thought, you know what, I'll take a chance for $3. And there's a lot to be said about it. It's a small, kind of unusual little thing, but there's a lot to be said about it. But we're going to measure it up first, just to make this easy on myself. It is 2.5 inches across, and there's no really good way of measuring it like that. I'm just going to eyeball it. So 2.5 inches long. And if we just pop the lid back on, it is 1 inch high. Come on. There we go. So yeah, incredibly small. You would only really use it for maybe a couple of sets, like maybe 1 or 2 sets of very small earrings, or maybe 1 or 2 rings. It is not designed to be to hold quite a lot. Literally just like a keepsake box for something like really precious, or it's just, you know, a nice little piece of decor. You can see that the surface is kind of, I'm going to call it a little bit rough. My fingerprints aside. And there's that color. So hopefully you guys can see why I liked it like so much. It's just, it really is just, it has a lot of there's a lot going on with it. But okay, so anyway, before I get to what exactly it is, all right, part of the reason I picked it up is that when I got my black light with me basically all the time, and it is an incredibly useful tool for just kind of picking up, obviously, on glass that's unusual, not even possibly glass that's especially old, just glass that is unusual. And especially if you're looking for things like really good lead crystal or whatever, if you flash the black light over it and you get that strong icy blue response, you know you got something good. And I have had stuff in thrift stores that had a label on it saying lead crystal or 24% lead crystal, that kind of thing, and I'd hold the black light up to it and get nothing. So I don't know. I'm wondering, is there an actual lot of fraud going on there? But anyway, you got to see that when I light this up, because obviously I have my handy dandy black light. I actually looked up some technical documentation on this. So it produces long wave UV light, and it's 365 nanometer something or other. So there is a distinction between the short wave and long wave. It does produce a different effect. I think long wave is the one that produces like the most kind of, you know, more, you get more of effects using long wave as opposed to short wave. So again, another thing that I have to actually look up, and there's not a whole lot of documentation, unfortunately, especially for glass. But anyway, I'm going to turn off my light for a second. And there's that color. Now, I'm going to take a chance here, just kind of hold this up just so you can see this. Look at that orange, just kind of popping out of nowhere. Like, you can see that the red underneath actually does glow. I mean, look at that. And I'm going to turn it over and let you see. There's that incredible response. Now, you can see as well, although it's probably not quite as strong as that, but the actual red glass fluoresces as well. It's got this amazing ruby red color. And bearing in mind, like, that's what my UV light looks like. It's not that. That's definitely fluorescence. It's coming straight from the glass itself, and it is incredible. Just look at it. It's incredible. Like, it's very beautiful. I wish you could actually see this. I really wish you guys could actually see this in person, just because. Oh yeah, and I'm going to be careful doing this because what an effect. Once again, being very careful to keep this angled away from my face, because you do not want to shine this in your eyes. It is, again, UV radiation. But there's that glorious red glow. And that orange on the outside. It really is something. Let's just turn it sideways. Yeah, there you go. It's like it's on fire. I can't get over that. It's so cool. So I'll just put that back together. Yeah, final look at it. And again, turn it off. I'm going to turn my light back on. And I mean, you can clearly see the box itself just kind of doesn't really look like anything. It certainly doesn't, like, it has quite a nice deep red color, but there's no sign of that orange kind of like extra layer on top of it. It looks completely normal. It looks completely see-through. That orange is being produced by the UV because there is a certain amount of this glass that's fluorescing a different color. Now, I had to actually find out what this was by, once again, going to the glass collecting subreddit and relying on the good people there who have far more knowledge than I do about glass, and certainly would be able to recognize a lot of this stuff. And I actually got the name of the maker out of one of them, and they found some information about this box itself. This is made by a German company called Hofbauer. They were West Germany, so this is actually before the fall of the Berlin Wall, most likely anyway. They lasted until the mid-90s when their factory burned down and it was never rebuilt. I do have one listing. I think it's a good time to actually show you guys what have we got. So here's a little bit of information. I'll be putting this again down into the description. It's quite hard to actually find any information about these guys. They did start producing crystal in the late 1970s. Now, you will find erroneous information that says they were producing glass in the 1900s. I cannot find anything that suggests that that's the case. I think that's bad info, and somebody has made a big mistake and it's just propagated. This seems like the most accurate information that I can find, just because it seems to match with the style of what glass we can actually find. Like the glass that's actually listed as Hofbauer and has stickers saying Hofbauer, none of it's from the 1900s. It looks like stuff from the 1970s. Yeah. So they began producing collectible crystal in the late 1970s to early 1980s and advertised it was fashioned by the finest craftsmen in West Germany. Hand-cut, acid polish containing over 24% lead for crystal clarity and superb ring. Yeah, they produced some very nice crystal. They did a lot of it with this, which is called the Birds Collection. And if we go over to replacements.com, here's some examples of it, of the kind of different varieties that they did. The one that I see most often is this one, the ruby one. And I can show you some examples of it, hopefully. It's a lot of glassware and everything, but a lot of this will show up. They have these very nice, like, bird logos, and then it gets flashed over in patches with another color. Very nice, very collectible, quite expensive, I have to say, if you do spot it. Very expensive. I don't think I've ever actually seen any in a thrift store, but there's more going on here, so let's just hop back here a second. Now, the factory burned down in the mid-1990s, was not rebuilt. Some people started doing a few kind of little things. The Chinese tried their hand at this line as well, but it was done in glass rather than crystal, and the birds, they're in dulled edges rather than being sharply cut. The glass lacks the weight, sparkling ring of the crystal. Now, here's the thing. I can remember seeing this pattern of bird in a few pieces that I've seen in thrift stores, and I remember thinking, oh, they look kind of rubbishy. So I suspect I have actually spotted some of these Chinese reproductions and not being able to identify it. And to be honest, a lot of the clear stuff I just ignore at this point. But anyway, so how do we know about this box particular? Bearing in mind, this doesn't have a bird on it, and it also has no mark on it, and it has no sticker, no nothing. Now, cadmium fluorescence, so it's obviously probably something good. But here's the thing. What we have is this vintage Hofbauer crystal heart-shaped trinket box. And this is the case that we actually have the original box. Again, West Germany, okay? You can just about see it right here, made in W, Germany. So you know, it's going to be, you know, 1980s kind of thing. And I suspect that this is like, I kind of had an eyeball with it, and oh yeah, that's probably 1980s. Seems about right from this. But if it says West Germany, yeah, that's definitely 1980s. Anyway, so if you actually look at the box itself, and this is on Poshmark, by the way, you can see that that design is incredibly close to what we've got here. I'm going to just hold the lid. I'm going to swap hands for this, actually, just to see if I can get this to work. There we go. And you can see that it's almost identical apart from the color. And especially tiny little things like down at the bottom, you can see that the very point here is actually flat, and it's flat there as well. The configuration, like you can see that there, it's kind of the little point or whatever like that. This is frosted in the middle, this is not. It's the same pattern. Let's go down again. A little bit more. What can we say about that? Yeah, it still looks the same. And the important thing as well, remember I keep saying that size is important because size tells you a lot of interesting stuff. The size is also the same, 2.5 inches across. So there we go. Now, the big question is, do we actually think this is Hofbauer, or do we think it's a Chinese reproduction? And in fairness, I'm actually not 100% sure. I can't tell. It's like, I mean, they look exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the color. And this one obviously isn't marked as well. You know, if it didn't come with a box or a sticker or anything, then you'd be stuffed. You'd never be able to figure it out. I just don't know. And I can't find any record of Hofbauer actually producing like plain red glass. They did a lot of like crystal and they flashed and everything, but nothing in red. So I don't know. This actually could be a Chinese reproduction, a fairly good one, I have to say, of this Hofbauer box. Or it's like a reproduction by an essentially more modern company. I don't know. So hard to tell. But I think the best that we can say is that if it is actually related, that this is this is quite certainly the progenitor of this, even if it's not by the same, even if it's not by Hofbauer. That's just one of the strange things that kind of shows up every once in a while. But anyway, I did actually take a look and try and figure out, like, if this actually is from Hofbauer, what would it be worth? And the long and short of it is that, like, Hofbauer, if you're looking for red glass, you essentially only find the bird's pattern, you'll find the flash stuff. You'll find crystal. You're not going to find red pieces at all. And I'm actually going to just change this to, oh yeah, there we go, sold items, I'm already on it. And you can see that it does sell and it's quite collectible and the prices are very nice, you know? So if you actually do find like legitimate Hofbauer Birds Collection glass, you should definitely pick it up. It's probably not going to have a sticker or the original box or anything. People definitely collect it. It's definitely worthwhile. This little box, however, I don't know. I think what I'm probably going to do is, considering I bought it for like $3, I'm probably going to put it up on Etsy and just leave it for what it is, because it is fabulous and the cadmium fluorescence is incredibly cool. I'm pretty sure that anyone who kind of collects kind of glass that shows, you know, a different color under UV, like, they're probably going to be interested in this, especially if I put up a picture of it doing that. So, you know, it's going to be worth something. I'm going to say maybe $20 plus shipping. You know, I think that's a pretty fair price for a box that has such a really cool color and has a really cool fluorescence, just for, you know, again, what it is. So this is my small joyful thing for the day. I hope you guys like it as well. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.